Yo, and welcome back to the Raids, week 87, day 7 of Light Season, and today we've got a match against somebody who uses the default name, I believe, for the Japanese version of Fire Emblem Heroes, which is Ekura. And, well, let's just go over their team real quick. So, we've got a plus speed, plus 9 legendary Azura, with I wouldn't say it's a standard kit, but it's not one that you wouldn't be surprised to see on her. And we've got a plus 9 plus attack Ophelia with her, I guess, essentially her default kit, switching out Blazing Light for Blazing Thunder. She's also running Special Spiral, Res Smoke, and Hardy Baron. Then we've got a plus 10 plus attack Yoon, so we really know that this guy isn't screwing around. With Fury, Desperation, Chaos Named, and Fortress Res, with her Perf and Iceberg. Then we've got a plus 2 plus attack Halloween duo Hector, Distant Counter, Odd, Follow Up, Savage Blow, Armored Boots, and he's running his Perf and Glimmer. So I assume that he's here mostly for the duo's hindrance. He is a pretty difficult unit to deal with on his own, though, however. And then we've got a plus 10 Winter Cecilia with Deathblow, Bolt Fighter, Armored March, Quick Impulse, Defense Refined the Cleaner, and Iceberg. And last but not least, a plus 3 plus speed Sophis with Fortress Defense Res, Null Follow Up, Times Pulse, Swift Sparrow, and her Perf, and Sirius. So initially I wanted to see if I couldn't try to Gale Force this. And I spent a lot more time than usual running the calcs because things just didn't seem to be going the way that I wanted to when I was sort of just crunching the numbers. And I got up to the point where I could have potentially swept these 5 units and left Azura alone. But there was no way for me to actually trap Azura in. So that would have meant that Azura would be free to attack either Peony or Roy, who I had left in these 2 positions. And unfortunately, Azura had, with Triangle Advantage, just enough attack to kill my Roy, who had 20 HP, and she would have dealt 21 points of damage at 58 attack. Against Roy's 37 res. So, unfortunately, that wouldn't have worked. And on the off chance that I could have gotten my bonus unit, Grima, to provide distant guard buffs to Roy somehow, let's say, right? That would have left Azura open to attacking my Peony, who had 27 res, I believe, and 36 speed. So that Azura would have definitely doubled Peony and had a Moonbow on deck. So that's why I wasn't going to run Gale Force, I guess. And it took a lot longer than expected because I did have to rely on Bolt Tower in order to take out the Sophis. Amelia does just enough damage to take out Cecilia after a Savage Blow. And in order for Roy to take out the Ophelia so that Amelia doesn't take up this tile, Roy does require Cardinal buffs from Peony's weapon so that he has enough speed to naturally double Ophelia. And in order for Roy to take out the Hector, he needs to double Hector. But in order to do so, Roy needs to do it on a even turn. And for that to work out in my favor, I need to get rid of this healing tower so that Sophis doesn't get healed up from my Bolt Tower damage. And after doing all that, Roy can only take out Hector with 3 prior Savage Blow assistants. Sorry about that. I'll have to charge my phone before I move on to the next match. But basically, Roy needs like 3 Savage Blows to knock Hector down 21 HP in order for his double to be able to take out Hector, regardless of whether or not he gets Cardinal buff assistance from Peony. And so, the fact that Roy dies by like 1 HP to this Azura is really just comes down to a matter of merges and like possibly tier 3 skills, but it's mostly merges and stats. So unfortunately, I won't be able to Gale Force this time around, but I figured that I could probably try and use Cecilia, my own Cecilia, for this map by having her park on this Aether Fountain tile and sniping the unit with the assistance of the Bolt Tower. Because my Panic Manor is actually lined up perfectly with these units and sort of neuters this Ophelia's attack. But because this Winter Cecilia is running the Cleaner, I'm actually going to try and opt not to run buffs on my own Cecilia. So, without buffs on my Cecilia, and after being panicked, this Ophelia actually still does enough damage to my Cecilia to prioritize attacking first, I believe. So, after Ophelia goes, Cecilia should take her out with the help of QR, and then I believe that the Winter Azura should go next. But if she doesn't, it's not too big of a deal, because if Cecilia opts to go, their own Cecilia, sorry, it's a bit confusing because both of us are using Winter Cecilias. If their Cleaner Cecilia goes, my own Cecilia won't be able to take out theirs, but they won't be able to trigger their special, thanks to my Special Fighter and Pulse Smoke. So even on their second engagement after being danced by Azura, they still won't be able to trigger it, and my Winter Cecilia should be able to take out theirs by the third hit. So basically, I get 2 hits in on the first engagement, and then I get my 3rd hit in on the second engagement, and that should enable me to take out the Winter Cecilia on the off chance that their Legendary Azura decides not to attack my Winter Cecilia. So that's what we're going to go ahead and try. We'll see if my AI, I guess, checklist sort of checks out. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I do need to clear out this column of structures, or these 2 structures, by turn 2, and also avoid buffs from my Air and Peonies. So we'll see if I can manage that. I do need to try and snipe this turn 1 so I can get to the Aether Fountain turn 2. So let's see what I can do here. I can probably, I guess, buffing on the first turn wouldn't matter. I just need to make sure that my Winter Cecilia is clear of buffs on the start of turn 3. So I could, I suppose, dance Cecilia, so that she moves up from here to attack the Word of Bonding. Turn 2, she can move up to break the Aether Fountain, then Zephiel can repo her back down, and at that point, I could probably move Peony and Air to these 2 tiles, so that Cecilia doesn't get visible buffs. And then turn 3, I would be able to use Air to smite Cecilia up to this, hold on. So, Cecilia would be here, and then Air would be able to move over, smite Cecilia up to this tile, and Cecilia can move up 2 tiles thanks to Armor March, and snipe Yoon with the aid of the Bolt Tower. And from that point, I should be able to take out at least 2 units, if not the Azura included. So let's see what happens here. So should I keep that obstacle? I don't think it's going to help me create a choke point, to be honest, because these 2 units will have like all of this space to work with. I am going to be pressured by the Sothis pretty much right from the get-go after allowing the ranged units to attack my Cecilia, so I'm going to go ahead and break the obstacle then, and move Zephiel up. Go ahead and dance. So, go ahead and break the Word of Bonding. And I guess I forgot to mention, but the fact that this Panic Manor is only level 5 does help me out quite a bit, meaning that I can keep this intact and use it to double as, I guess, an obstacle pretty much, to prevent their melee range units from approaching and, I guess, pincer attacking my Winter Cecilia from the top and bottom. So, we'll go ahead and move like this then. Not certain where I want to place my Silk just yet. I do still need some pots, But I guess I could just have her start breaking this. She does have cavalry ranged movement, so it shouldn't take her too much effort to have her catch up to the units on the right side of the map. So go ahead and repo here, and then move Peony away. So I guess I'll move Silk over here now. Okay, so there goes my Bolt Tower. I'm going to go ahead and smite and take out the Yun. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and Dagger debuff and pulse down units within 2 spaces of that Yun. So now Ophelia isn't as much of a threat, and this Winter Cecilia shouldn't have enough attack to take out my own, so we'll see how this works out. Let's see here. I suppose having Zaphiel here isn't going to be too detrimental, so we'll just go ahead and keep Peony in the corner, and I guess I'll move Silk over here and see if my prediction was correct. Okay, so their own Winter Cecilia decided to go first. Interesting.
Just as expected. Time for a lesson. We can see this through.
Okay. So now Ophelia goes there. Interesting. So, from this point,
The glimmer of life. Choices. What's your answer?
I don't want to attack into that Hector, obviously, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and move Cecilia down. And this Sothis, I'm definitely going to want to snipe, so I can do 14 points of damage with air, but air wouldn't be able to... Sorry about that. I should probably just charge my phone right now. This took a little more time than I was expecting it to. Okay, so if I attack Sothis now, I could soften her up, and then if I healed with Silk, then danced with Peony, Air would have 57 attack, you would have 33 defense, so that's 24. Then I have Moonbow, so 3.3 times 3, that's 9, so that should be enough to take out this Sothis, so go ahead and do that. Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't really have much of a choice, so we'll go ahead and dance air.
Dreams are born. Death's caress.
Take out the Sophis.
Fly, Lydia.
Okay, and the reason why my air is still in attack range is because Ophelia still has that extra mobility from Legendary Azura, which should expire at the start of the following enemy phase. Now,
Looking forward to it.
I suppose it wouldn't hurt to heal air. I'm not exactly certain where else I would put Silk. Zephiel. I guess it's best if I just put Zephiel there to provide some aid to my own Winter Cecilia, so after this healing, I'm going to go ahead and end turn. And we'll see how the rest plays out. Okay.
This is a blessing.
So because this Winter Cecilia received Tone Attack Blast from Azura, she was panicked, and thus she dealt less damage than the turn before. So that works out in my favor. And Ophelia goes now, which is fine.
This is a blessing. Just as expected.
Okay. That's not exactly an ideal position for me to be in, but I was kind of hoping that this Azura would come forward a little more so I could move Cecilia back up to this tile and outside of this Hector's range. But
Yes. Good morning.
it's an odd turn too. That's annoying.
Who needs assistance? Ready. That's a difficult one. Death's caress.
Yeah, that's not good.
Maybe this way.
The only reason why Hector is able to do that is because he's got his special on board. Should I just wait an extra turn? That's not exactly... It's turn 5.
Yes.
If I moved Cecilia down and then repoed with Zephiel, this Hector could engage. He's got his guaranteed follow-up, whereas I've got my Wary Fighter. But if I provide speed buffs to Zephiel, Hector shouldn't be able to double because he doesn't he doesn't pass the speed check. So in that scenario, it's really a matter of whether or not Zephiel knocks Hector into Wings of Mercy range. So that would put, at worst, Zephiel would have 63 attack. So 63 minus 44 would be 19 points of damage. So that would put Hector at 40 HP. Okay. And then that shouldn't put him in Wings of Mercy. So I think that's my best case scenario here, because none of my other units can do anything really to this Hector. This Hector will have 70 attack, 105. So after I clear myself of debuffs, Zephiel should have 46 thanks to ally support, 49 from being danced. So 105 minus 49. So 65 minus 9, that's 56. So Zephiel should be able to take a hit and live. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'll be able to get this Aether. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. Go ahead and repo. And then
Choices.
I guess
Forward to it.
move Silk down here.
Who needs
I'll move
assistance?
her here.
Ready.
Dance with Peony.
Pleasant dreams. The glimmer
Then
of life.
move Air over. Okay. So from here,
Yes. Choices.
I could get rid of Hector's special. With Silk's bulk,
That's a difficult one. Good morning.
or Peony could do it, actually. Peony could take out the Hector. But then I do need to get Peony out of the way so that Azura doesn't snipe her. I do have an extra turn to play with. Maybe I can get the pot. If I have Silk go for it.
Looking forward to it.
So... Okay, let's go ahead and take out the Hector first then. Alright, so down goes do Hector. And then I'm going to want to move Air onto this tile. Go ahead and repo Peony. And we'll heal Zephiel so that Azura can't double him. And
Let's try that.
we'll end turn, I guess. Ooh. I'd hate it if Azura just decided to come onto this tile, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so she decides to attack Silk instead. That's great. Let's see.
We create the future.
In order for Silk to reach this, she has to be on one of these two tiles, and in order for her to reach there, that's 3, 2, 1. So she has to be over here first.
Looking forward to it. Yes. Choices. That's a difficult one.
So I could have Cecilia take out the Azura. That's fine. I could just have her straight up go over. Oh. Oh, looks like she does require either ally support and or the cardinal buffs from Peony. So
Who needs assistance? The glimmer of life.
guess we'll just go ahead and smite and see what happens. So that's the fake trap.
Maybe this way. Good dreams.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So I can get the Aether. Alright, go ahead and guess soften up the Azura first. And then take out the Azura with Cecilia. So that was a pretty close match. I do have some more rematches, so if I happen to find any more interesting ones to note, I'll cut back to those, and yeah. Alright, and I'm back again with the next match of the day, and we're up against a player who goes by the name of Quicks with a bike lead, and we'll just go ahead and check out their map and units. And they are running a neutral Lizithia with a life and death lull speed res, times pulse and hardy bearing, lulls, rally speed defense and blazing wind, the works. A +1+ res brave Micaiah with attack res bond 4, Yoon's whispers, ground orders, aerobatics, and we've got a +HP -res Brand with essentially his default kit. He's replaced lull attack res with Wings of Mercy, and he's got quick impulse at Luna. And we've got a +res -speed Yoon, who's running Mirror Impact and Sturdy Blow. Then we've got a +1 neutral minion with a res refined Light Breath, HP +5, Wings of Mercy, Infantry Pulse, HP res 2, Moonbow. And the star of the show, a +10+ defense bike with distant counters, special spiral, infantry pulse, brazen attack defense, special refined Urbon, reposition, and Aether. And so initially, like usual, I tried to see if I could Gale Force this, and unfortunately it doesn't look very feasible. I theoretically could try to Gale Force this, but it requires gambling on the Gravity Trap of all things. Gambling on the Gravity Trap to be 40 HP or more upon my Bolt Tower triggering, so I'd have to test this trap on turn 3 so that I can jam both the Ike and the Yoon and allow one of my units to park here, so that I have a little extra mobility in being able to engage this Grandman. But that's a bit too much of a gamble for me to try and attempt, so I decided against it. And instead, since this is more or less an infantry pulse team, it's like an infantry pulse team with mobility, thanks to its ground orders and aerobatics, I decided to go with my Winter Cecilia. One thing I had to pay attention to here was to make sure that my Cecilia was basically going to be debuff free, and so she had to avoid this Panic Manor, the adjacent debuffs, basically the Yoon's Whispers and the Sabotage Res. And because I was going to snipe this Lizithia, which means that I approach from the left side of the map, Yoon's Chaos Manifest, or Chaos Named, isn't going to be affecting my Cecilia either. And since I'm on the right or the leftmost column, Cecilia is going to be outside of the Panic Manor as well. And Tactics Room definitely won't come into play. So the only thing that I really had to probably get rid of was, or will have to get rid of, is this Bright Shrine. I'm fairly certain that that should affect my air instead, but I'll go ahead and dispatch my my silk to get rid of that first. So my Cecilia does have enough attack to dispatch this Zithia because she's running life and death, most likely to complement her blazing wind, so she can deal more AoE damage. But I suppose that's one of this setup's weaknesses. I'd say she's probably a weak link. And this Micaiah does have armor effectiveness against my Winter Cecilia, but she won't be able to double, and she only deals, I think, 25 points of damage. Especially because she doesn't get attack respond, since she's not adjacent to anybody when she attacks Cecilia. Since Cecilia is going to be over here, and Micaiah has to attack from this tile. On the off chance that Brandman decides to go first, Brandman shouldn't be able to get his guaranteed follow-up, because Cecilia is just sitting at 34 speed, and she doesn't have any debuffs, so that's fine. And and Brandman also shouldn't get his special off, since I've pulse smoked him by attacking the Zithia, so we'll see how this goes. I'm fairly confident that this should work out, because the AI isn't as difficult to predict as the one from before, since I am getting rid of the Rallier first, so aside from speed buffs to look out for, well, basically I can't give speed buffs to my Cecilia, so that means if Peony dances, it has to be away from Cecilia, essentially. So we'll go ahead and do this real quick. So if I get Zephiel to break this, then Cecilia to move up to snag the Aether, I can dance Zephiel to repo Cecilia. I do want Cecilia to receive res buffs though, so I think I might just wait and take out the Aether on the second turn instead. Either way, it looks like I'm going to be making my move on turn 3, so from here, or I guess I can make my move on turn 2, actually, because if Air breaks this, then Cecilia breaks the Aether, Zephiel can repo Cecilia down, and Peony can move 2 spaces over to the left and still provide res buffs to Cecilia for the following turn. So I can make my move on turn 2, I think. So we'll go ahead and break the Bronze Throne, get the Aether, repo Cecilia out of the way, move Peony over here so Cecilia gets res buffs, and Silk can get the Bright Shrine the following turn. Okay, so we'll go ahead and break this. And then Zephiel's gonna repo Cecilia up. And let's see here. I do have to move my Peony over 1 tile so that I can provide Cardinal buffs, but I do have to be careful not to dance, because otherwise my Cecilia will receive visible speed buffs, and I don't want that when I'm taking on Brandman, so we're going to go ahead and snipe the Zithia. And the rest should be history. Do I care about where I place my air? I guess not, so just go ahead and end turn here. Okay, so Micaiah decides to go first, 25 damage like I said. That shouldn't be a problem though, since I do heal up a hefty amount, thanks to Noontime and Minty Cane. Alright. And then Brandman goes, he can't double. He only does 8 damage. Okay, then Ninian should go. And she goes down. So I guess at this point it's just really to see which direction Bike wants to head in. And then, okay, so he decides to go after Cecilia.
What's your answer?
16 damage. So I guess I should probably just check to see if this is the trap or not first, because if it is, I can just have Cecilia retreat by stepping on this trap. If it isn't, I can keep Cecilia in place, because I'm not really afraid of these two. She does have... Yoon does have an impact skill, but I have more speed and I have QR, so it shouldn't be a problem. So I'll just go ahead and step on that. So that was the fake trap. I'll just go ahead and keep Cecilia where she is then. And Repo Air out. Go ahead and dance Zephiel, so he can move back to 2 spaces within Cecilia's within Cecilia, so he can provide some extra buffs. That's a 60 HP tactics room, so it doesn't affect self, but I do... Well, I technically don't need the pots anymore, but I guess it's just to flex at this point. So, essentially I have to get rid of all of these 3 items. So, we'll go ahead and do that with Silk. Alright, so Bike goes first because he's the only one who can attack.
Time for a lesson.
Okay, then Yoon should go. Technically didn't even need QR because she's not running Sturdy Impact. Would that have mattered though? Because that would have reduced my attack by 10, so that would have been 40 damage instead. Alright, then down goes Yoon. So, from this point, how much damage? Huh. That's 65 HP. I technically don't want to put Cecilia here then, do I? Huh. That's a bit iffy. I guess what I can do is dance Zephiel so that Cecilia gets orders and can retreat, so I'll go ahead and do that. And avoid the lightning trap while I'm at it. Go ahead and get rid of the Panic Manor while I'm at it. Okay, go ahead and get the healing tower. I think I can finish off this Bike with Cecilia and Zephiel, so I'll just go ahead and move Air over. And unfortunately I won't be able to snag that Aether. I could wait an extra turn, I suppose. So, go ahead and break the Black Eagle flag. It wasn't intentional, but I guess I technically just... Oh, right, I have a bonfire on deck, so... I guess that Ike goes down after all. Yeah, so it looks like I was unable to get the Aether in time. It's not that big of a deal, though. Yeah, I do have one more match on board, so... If it's anything to note, I will cut back again. If not, I will see you guys next week. Alright, and we've got one final match for you all today, and we're up against a Japanese player who goes by the name of Amakura, tier 27 with a legendary Azure lead, so let's go ahead and check out their map and units. And to start us off, we've got a plus 10, plus attack, Resplendent Eliwood, Fury, Lunge, Savage Blow, and Swift Sparrow, Gale Force. And we've got a plus 3 plus res, Hoshiden Festival Micaiah, with Death Blow 4, Wings of Mercy, Drive Attack, Death Blow, Dawn Suzu, and Iceberg. Then a plus 10 plus attack, Legendary Edelgard, with Heavy Blade 4, Raging Storm, Armored Stride, and Quicken Pulse, Aimer, Rally Speed Defense, and Gale Force. A plus 5 plus attack Ophelia with Life and Death 4, Special Spiral, Savage Blow, and Hardy Bearing. A weaponless, specialist Legendary Azura with Fury, Wings of Mercy, Ground Orders, and Guidance. She's at plus 9. And a plus 4 plus res Sothis with Fortress Defense Res, Wrath, Times Pulse, and Close Defense. And I took a bit of time to crunch some numbers again, and I think I actually can Gale Force this, actually. A lot of these units are actually really thick, especially the Edelgard and the Sothis. These two pose a particular problem to me. Sothis, not so much, because thankfully my Bolt Tower is lined up where she is. Though this does mean that I do have to make my move on turn 3. So that would mean that if I can't get rid of Edelgard, then that means that this strat is invalid, essentially. And in order to do so, I do have to approach the left side of the map with my Roy first. And so what that means is, what I determined was that I would have to use drawback with Grima to draw Roy up to this tile so that he can move and attack both the Eliwood and the Edelgard. I would want to trap in this Micaiah, because she technically shouldn't be able to Wings of Mercy after I get rid of all of the attackers. This Azure shouldn't be able to do anything either. So, in doing so, what that means is that I have to get rid of this trap first, because I don't want to test this the turn that I make my move, since after crunching the numbers, neither my Roy nor my Amelia can get rid of this Edelgard in one round of combat, even with Savage Blow assistance, because it requires Edelgard to be taken out first, I think. I mean, not Edelgard first. It requires the other units to be taken out first. So, in order to do that, what I did first was calculated that Edelgard does 35 points of damage to my Roy, and my Roy has 54 HP and I believe 24 defense. Let me check real quick. Let's see. Actually, no. Roy should have 34 defense, because Roy will have 37 defense after being debuffed. I mean, after being buffed by defense tactics. And then Roy will have been debuffed by the Dark Shrine, I believe, because he should receive, in the position that I set up my units, he should receive Fortify Res from Peony, so that means he has the highest combined defense and Res, which puts him down to 30 visible defense. And upon initiating on Edelgard, he gets plus 10 defense from his Blazing Gurndal, which puts him back up to 40. But Aimer reduces his defense by 6, so that puts him at 34 defense. So Edelgard has 73 attack with drive attack from Micaiah, so that puts her at 73. So 7.3 times 2, 14. So that means she has 59 attack and I have 34 defense, which means it's actually 25 damage. Forgot to account for my Roy's Blazing Durandal. So what that means is if this trap does 30 or more damage, 30 or more, is that right? because 30 damage would put my Roy at... no, actually 50 or more damage. Yeah, because at 50 damage, that would put Roy at 4 HP. And then I would take 2 turns with Air's Sparkling Boost to recover 10 HP per turn, which puts him at 24. And since Edelgard does 25 points of damage, that would mean that Roy can't survive and he can't take out the Edelgard. So, if this trap does 50 damage or more, let's say, then what that means is that Amelia has to go first after being smited up by Air, and he has to first attack the Edelgard so that I can deal a Savage Blow onto the Eliwood, and then Roy could take out Eliwood with assistance from that Savage Blow, and from Drive Attack from the Grima, who drew him back up onto this tile, and Grima's over here, so when Roy initiates on this tile, he's eligible for Drive Attack buffs for my Grima. And then, I believe he can take out the Edelgard after dealing double Savage Blow and Edelgard being softened up by my Amelia. So, the reason why I needed the Savage Blow onto this Eliwood prior was because Roy actually also gets inflicted by this Bright Shrine debuff, and so that severely cripples my Roy, and that technically should have, the Savage Blow shouldn't have been necessary if I had Peony on the same column as Roy, but unfortunately she's going to be on this column when I set up to make my move, so after that, I believe Roy should have entered Wings of Mercy range, and then Amelia would take out both the Ophelia and the Sothis, and Peony would Wings of Mercy over to dance Amelia to take out one of the other 2 units, so that Micaiah would get distracted by Peony and end up attacking her instead of doing whatever warp shenanigans that Azura wants her to do. So, if it weren't the actual trap, then what would happen is that I believe Roy actually goes first to attack Edelgard, I think. Because after attacking once, his cooldown gets reduced by 2 rather, so that he has 2 cooldown thanks to Quicken Pulse. And then when Edelgard counterattacks, he has a Gale Force ready, so that way he can finish off the Eliwood, thanks to removing his debuffs and having Savage Blow assistance. And then Amelia would get smited up, so that Amelia could take out the Edelgard. And then, from that position, Amelia would take out another unit with Gale Force, and then Peony would warp on over to Dance, so that Amelia could take out the other unit. And that's the way it should go, so we'll see if everything is as calculated. This was a bit more complicated to figure out, because this is one of the few times that I actually have to try and trigger Gale Force off of a unit that doesn't die in 1 round of combat. So Edelgard's definitely a force to be reckoned with here. Yeah, this is definitely a scary team to face with an enemy phase strategy. So we'll go ahead and see if I can't pull this off. And yeah. Thankfully, I can sort of alternate my strategy based on if this is the real trap or not and how much damage it does, so it's not necessarily a gamble for me. What this does mean is that I require my Robin to draw Peony up onto this tile, so that she can move within range of Roy to dance after he tests the trap, and then Roy can move back to repo Peony out of harm's way, and then I'll just move these 2 units on over. So first things first, I'll go ahead and test the trap. That was the fake trap, so I'll go ahead and draw Peony back up. Dance Roy. Okay, revo her out of harm's way and move these 2 units over. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and move Peony to this spot. And then Amelia will move onto this tile. And then, after Bolt Tower and 1 or 2 Savage Blows, Amelia should be able to take out the Sothis in 1 hit, so that she can't trigger her Sirius. Then I'll go ahead and take out the Ophelia. And because Peenie's on this tile, Micaiah will get distracted. I think I mentioned that earlier, so that Azura can't bait Micaiah to jump on over with the help of Guidance. Let me just double check to make sure. So Micaiah has +8, +6, that's +14. So that's 67 attack. 6.7 times 4, 24, 2, 26. So that should be 41 attack. So 41 minus 27, that's 14 points of damage. And she can't double, so Peony should live. It doesn't really matter if Peony kills her or not, because I have both dancers trapped in, essentially. So yeah, I'm a little nervous. We'll see if I calculated things correctly here. Since that wasn't the real trap, Roy can go first and attack Edelgard. So go ahead and draw up. And because Robin has Drive Attack, that actually does help me out quite a bit. Go ahead and trigger Gale Force off of Disengagement. So, interesting. Edelgard just 30. I thought I calculated 25. Was I missing something?
The fight is on.
Huh. Weird. Okay, anyway. Okay, so that's 2. That's another 2. Perfect. So Gale Force activates, Savage Blow triggers, and I've cleared my debuffs, and I can take out Eliwood. Okay, another Savage Blow goes off. Go ahead and smite Amelia up. That was the real trap. Doesn't matter. Then Amelia can attack Edelgard and finish her off. And because I have Bold Fighter, it comes down to a speed check between my Amelia and Edelgard. So I've won that speed check, obviously, because Amelia is quite fast. And from this point, Amelia can take out the Sothis. Look how little damage Amelia does to her. That's actually kind of ridiculous. This Sothis is stupid thick. So we'll go ahead and take out the Sothis. Okay, and this could have actually been potentially dangerous if the Azura had a weapon equipped, because this Bull Tower does activate the following enemy phase. And that would have left my Amelia with 4 HP, so I'm not confident that if this Azura had a weapon, Amelia would have been able to live. So thankfully, I'm able to pull off this strat like so. And Peenie's in this specific tile so that she can bait the Micaiah so that no other warping shenanigans can happen. So Amelia goes ahead to finish off the Ophelia. And turn. So my Amelia is left with 4 HP. Right. And unfortunately, Peony can't finish off the Micaiah, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and clean up the next turn. And Azura can't do anything. So interestingly enough, that Azura did actually move over to the left. And if that had happened and Micaiah wasn't distracted to attack, she may have actually jumped over to attack my Amelia instead. But I guess that's a scenario that I managed to avoid, so we'll go ahead and snag the Aether just because. Go ahead and take out Micaiah. Take the Aether with Roy, and take out Azura with Amelia. Oh, man. I'm seriously reconsidering doing most of my matches on the final day, just because I have to bum rush these. But, you know, I guess it's actually more interesting that way, to have to sort of try to maneuver your way through these difficult matches on the final day while keeping track of time. If I screw up, it's more interesting for you guys to see because you make fun of me. If not, you know, it's quite a feat, I think, if I do say so myself. And yeah, unfortunately I am a little short of tier 27 this week. I did actually opt to run my, and test my new setup. Let's see here. And I actually opted to switch my Hector over to a non-perf weapon so that he could drop his attack by 2, so that he could match the other units, basically, and basically still allow this strat to work even off of Fire Season. And it's worked okay, I guess. I do want to run this a bit more just to, I guess, get some more source data. But yeah, that was it for today, and we'll see each other next week. Take care, guys.